Hello and welcome back to a new season. Welcome back to my first video of the new season, and I'll be back in just a short time to tell you what the flow is. Hello, welcome back to 2019, and before I get into the first video of the season, I'd first like to say a big thank you for all your support last season. We had over 17,000 subscribers last season, and I very much hope to keep you all interested in the channel in the coming months. I would also like to thank you very much for supporting my Christmas appeal. I was looking there for people to keep watching videos in December, despite of all the other things that get in the way. And by doing that, you've helped to raise over $300 for the children charity BBC Children in Need. That is now winging its way to the BBC, and I hope very much it's all going to a very, very good cause, because this charity supports children all over the world. But we're here to look at, or you're here more or less to look at the first tip of the season, and I'm calling this one Flow. Flow is basically a description of how in the future you are going to coordinate your golf swing without swing thoughts. I believe that if you understand a little bit about how the brain actually works and coordinates movement, you will understand why you can't have any swing thoughts when you're doing it. In truth, the whole of your golf swing, or to the greater extent, the whole of your golf swing, is going to be coordinated by a part of the brain they call the cerebellum. The cerebellum sits at the end of your spinal cord, at the bottom and the back of your head, and this is basically responsible for all of your coordinative movements and the timing of those movements. And it works by processing a mass of information all at the same time and condensing it into a stream of commands which it sends at a very high frequency down to the body. What this basically means is that if you watch a gymnast jump and spring, or you watch a Formula One driver taking a corner at 100 miles an hour, they aren't doing this by consciously thinking about turning the wheel or tucking their knees in. What they are doing is using the feedback that their body is actually sending to the brain and allowing the brain to automatically coordinate the next movement in the chain. The Formula One driver isn't thinking about turning the wheel, he's feeling the pressure applied to his body by the forces of nature as he goes around the corner, and therefore unconsciously knows exactly when to accelerate out of the corner and turn the steering wheel. Similarly, the gymnast who is in the middle of a salto wouldn't have time to think about straightening her legs to land, and on the contrary, it will happen totally automatically as the body is able to feel where it is in any given movement and therefore what the next movement has to be. When all this goes pear-shaped is when suddenly a thought or worry enters the equation. Imagine the Formula One driver worrying about losing control of the car and trying to consciously guide himself through that bend, or the gymnast in mid-air thinking about what foot she's going to land on. Unfortunately, that would always go badly, and you know yourselves that it goes badly for a golf swing as well. We just simply have so much time to think, and we get used to thinking because that's the way we practice. So what I'd like you to do is a few exercises, first of all, to understand and to feel a little bit of what's actually going on in your body. And then I want to give you a couple of drills to actually introduce this into your golf swing, so you can actually start hitting golf balls without thinking about it. So the very first thing I'd like you to do is actually cross your arms across your chest and take the address position. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn the body to the right, make a very slight dipping in the knees, and then press out of the knees and rotate the body to the left. And I want you to do that, first of all, quite slowly, and then more and more fluidly, and until your body is able to do the movement without you thinking about it whatsoever. When you've got to that point, I'd like you to close your eyes. Now, if you were to stop at any point in that swing and take a picture, you would not be able to tell in the picture what stage of the golf swing you were in. Were you just turning to the right, or were you turning back to the left? Were you pressing off from your feet, or were you going down in the top of your backswing? However, even with your eyes closed, you knew exactly where you were. If you can imagine this as being a way that your brain is actually coordinating movement, think of the path that my sternum is following here, almost like a very small circle. And through all 360 degrees of this circle, my brain is actually able to feel exactly where I am and therefore know exactly what comes next. As I turn to the right, it will feel a shifting of pressure on my feet. As I drop down, a lightening of pressure on my feet. Then again, more force from the feet as I turn and rotate. My inner organs are moving to the right with the rotation, suddenly up into my mouth as I drop down and down into my toes as I turn through the ball. Therefore, the brain is able to kind of map this 360-degree movement, not by watching itself, but by feeling its positions. And because it knows its positions, it's able to track the movement. Now, if I were to add the arm movement to this as well, then obviously as I take the arm back, the blood is going to come out of my fingers, but as I swing through, it will be thrown down to my fingertips, reaching the full extension just after impact, before coming around. So the brain is also going to be able to feel where the arm is at every instant in the 360 degrees, and this is how it coordinates movement. Imagine somebody doing a ski jump. Now, we know in the UK we have a show called The Jump, and it's known really for lawsuits because there's an awful lot of celebrities go on this show and almost break their necks doing it. The reason is you really shouldn't start doing ski jumping at any age over maybe 12 or 15, because you're still able to learn simply by watching and doing. As soon as you start to get an adult trying to learn complex motor tasks like ski jumping, you've got a problem. But just imagine going down a ski jump and thinking consciously about when you're going to jump. A natural jumper will feel when they're going to jump. It's the same for somebody on a surfboard. They're feeling the wave under the board, and the board is interacting with their feet, and the pressure under their feet is telling their unconscious mind what to do. The cerebellum is called the small brain, but it's not doing a small task. It's doing an incredible job of coordinating movement, but it does this because of the flow of movement and this flow not being disturbed by conscious thought. If we expand this idea and take a golf club in our hands and make the movement with a golf club, suddenly the golf club is giving my brain even more information as the forces which are working on the golf club are working on my body as well. But this is no problem for the cerebellum. Apparently, it can work through up to 200 million pieces of information at any one time, digest them and push them out as a new instruction to the body. So if a golf ball were to get in the way, then can you imagine what kind of feedback that is giving me? And obviously it is going to help my unconscious to know exactly where the ball is in the 360-degree movement that I'm making in the golf swing. So as I come through the golf ball, why would I have to look at it? Because I know exactly when it's coming. Because it comes at exactly the same time in every swing that I make. And this is, in the end, the way that you should be allowing movement to work in your body and in your golf swing. So how would that actually turn into a golf shot? what I would like you to do the next time you're on the range is start simply with this movement without your arms, allowing yourself to feel how your body gets into the flow. Once you have this feeling of flow, I'd like you to incorporate one of your arms. At best would be the right arm. As you feel the right arm coming, both arms and maybe a golf club. The first thing to do then is to allow your body to get a feeling for when the ground comes up. When you think about it, as you take this very slight dip into the ground, you are creating ground forces. And as you turn through, at some stage, just like the ski jump, you're going to feel a pressure on your feet, which will say, push off and turn. Now, if you can get used to that feeling, then you'll do it the same time every time. But your unconscious mind has got to actually get used to that. And that means it's got to make mistakes. When you swing the golf club, sometimes it will be a little bit too late and you'll hit the ground. Sometimes it will jump too early and you won't hit the ground at all. And this is where your fat shots and your top shots come. However, it's not a time to start consciously thinking about the shot. On the contrary, it's a time to simply let it flow. So I'm making these swings until I have the feeling that I'm hitting the ground at exactly the same time with exactly the same force. And then I'm just going to put a golf ball in the way. And then I'm going to repeat. Keep doing exercises until I get the feeling, until I'm brushing the grass the way that I want to actually brush the grass in the place I want to brush the grass, and then I'll put a golf ball in the way. And by repeating this process, slowly but surely, I find myself hitting golf balls without consciously thinking about it. If you can get to that point in your golf where you're not thinking about it, then it will become something that you expect. I had the joy of my little nephew coming to visit us over Christmas, and it was a joy to watch what he could do with food in the kitchen. Strangely enough, working with that fork and that spoon wasn't quite as simple for him as it is for us. He had to coordinate. He had to time opening his mouth at the right time. And to a certain extent, he got it right, and to a certain extent, he didn't. But all mothers and fathers know that the target gets smaller as they get older. They start hitting the mouth more often to a point when you and they expect them to hit the mouth. And then it's more of a surprise when they don't. And learning the game of golf can be similar. First of all, you should expect to hit the ground before the ball. You should expect to top a few balls or to hit a couple in the bushes. But the more that you practice this way, the less you will hit in the bushes. And the more flow that your golf swing gets, the more successful it will be. I hope that wasn't too long-winded for you. I hope you understood what I'm getting at there. I'm convinced if you can get rid of swing thoughts, you're going to play better golf. And if we're going to start with anything this year, that's exactly what we want to do. That should be your target for the season. Get out there and make a golf swing without thinking technically about it, trusting it and expecting good results. I'll see you very shortly. Thank you very much for your time, and see you next time. Bye-bye now.